Blake, you throw a rise ball, correct?
Yes.
How do you do it?
I kind of just grip the ball like this, and then I go through my normal motion, like all my other pitches, like that. And then I just try to get under the ball and kind of push back.
Do you know the amount of pressure you apply to your fingers when you are gripping the softball?
No.
Do you know anything about the appropriate arm speed that you should have when you're throwing a pitch?
No, I just do what feels right.
Brooke, you throw curveballs, correct?
Yes, I do.
How do you do it?
Well, I'm a lefty, so I grab the ball like this, which is how I grab all my pitches, and then kind of just go around in the circle, and then when I get here, I bring my index finger all the way around till it gets to my belly button, and then snap.
Are you aware of how much pressure you apply to your fingers when you're throwing a curveball?
I just know it's a lot.
Do you think your mind is aware of what your body is doing?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. I've never thought about it.
The pitching style of fast pitch is different from that of slow pitch softball. Pitchers in fast pitch softball usually throw the ball using a windmill type of movement. In this style of pitching, the pitcher begins with her arm at the hip. The strike zone is that space over home plate which is between the batter's armpits and the top of the knees when the batter assumes a natural stance. The goal for every pitcher is to move the ball within the strike zone to get the batter to miss the ball when trying to hit it.
Various pitches are used in the game of fast pitch softball. There's a fastball, a changeup, a curveball, a drop ball, a screwball, and a rise ball. And you can also mix in some pitches, for example, a drop curve, or sometimes a screwball likes to take a rise motion. And an elite fast pitch softball pitcher will mainly only have about 2 to 3 of those pitches. When mastering certain pitches, why is it that every pitcher can't throw all 7 pitches? That's because mentally, a pitcher is created for 2 to 3 pitches and they verbally do not know why they are so good at one pitch rather than the other. For example, a drop ball pitcher has a very hard time going up in the zone with a rise ball and vice versa. Rise ball pitchers oftentimes have a hard time going low in the zone with drop balls. Majority of elite fast pitch pitchers cannot verbally explain why they are good at a certain pitch versus others and how they make the ball move. Forrest explains that verbal description, no matter how well detailed, cannot capture real activity and the reciprocality of the crafted and the crafter. He then goes on to explain the how do you do it question. The how do you do it question is the question that I asked Brooke and Blake on how they throw their prospective pitches. Hands often have reasons that the mind is not aware. I can try to verbally tell you how I throw a drop ball, but I do not know exactly how I do it, and I lack the means to express this form of tacit knowledge. As Malaflores states that technique needs to be discovered in real time and space. So today I'm going to be taking a challenge to the how do you do it question and will be showing you guys how to throw a drop ball in fast pitch softball. To throw a drop ball, my grip is going to be a 4-seam across the softball. So as you can see, my fingers will go right along this line here, and that is called the 4-seam of a softball. And my thumb is down here by the lower seam. Whenever I throw my drop ball, I really think about keeping my weight forward on my stride. The stride from the mound is when I go and I do my back and then I come forward, and that is the stride. So on a drop ball, my stride will be slightly forward with my nose being directly over my front toes. I like to think that when I'm throwing my drop ball that I'm pitching down into the ground. So after we get forward, when we're bringing the ball around, we want to think to release the ball right before your back hip. Right when I get to my back hip, I'm going to pull my fingers up off the seams of the ball. Right before I pull off the ball, I want to make sure that my wrist is bent backwards. If it's straight this way, the ball will not move and it will go straight to the batter. We want to make sure that our wrist is cocked back right before release. When your wrist is cocked, you want to make sure that you peel your fingers off that ball into the ground. We want to peel it off our fingers. Even though I can state the mechanics of how to throw a drop ball, there will always be mental and biological factors playing into how successful you can throw it.
What I mean by this is think of the complex ways that the brain, the body, and the resources relate and interact with one another throughout the different stages of this activity, and try to imagine some of the resources, physical, mental, and biological, needed for the enaction of this creative process of pitching. Take, for example, the material makeup of a softball. Sure, softballs might seem to be universal, simple pieces of athletic equipment to the untrained eye, but there are a number of measurements, calculations, and even colors that can separate one from the other. Their construction has advanced greatly since the sport's beginnings, and the respective design and features of a softball can heavily impact your performance on the field. A softball's core is made of a synthetic mixture composed of either polyurethane or K-Pack, which is a combination of cork and rubber. The circumference of this core varies by league set standards, but the materials are generally the same amongst all playing levels. The stitching and seams can either be raised, adding a better sense of grip, or run true with the cover. Some pitchers prefer high seams when throwing their pitches, whereas some pitchers prefer low seams when throwing their pitches. Another factor that goes into the success of a successful drop ball is the aerodynamics of a fast pitch softball. The motion of the fast pitch softball is assuming that once the ball leaves the pitcher's hand, it is acted upon by three forces: gravity, air, resistance, and the magnum force. The Magnus force is created by the spin of the ball, and depending upon the direction of the spin axis, it leads to pitches that rise, curve, or drop as they travel from pitcher to home plate. Therefore, on a drop ball, you want your spin axis going down. A great way to think about this is if your ball was spinning alongside a clock, you would want the spin of a drop ball to be going from the 12 hand to the 6 hand. Hands do have reasons that the mind is not aware. The ultimate cause of action and success in this claim of micro and macro events is none of the supposed agents, humans or non-humans. It is the flow of activity itself.